In this episode, my trousers deteriorate into oblivion. I crimp some cables, I then crimp some different cables, and then I crimp different cables in a different way, and then I make a sound.
Well, welcome to this week's episode, guys, and this week we are tackling electrics. So we've already got the chunky power bank, the battery pack, our battery pack over here. The inverter is next to the camera in the box, and I've basically unpacked the car. The first thing I think I need to do is sort out my earthing point for the system. Now, also disclaimer, if you're not particularly interested in off-grid electrics, this is probably not going to be a video for you, but it's an important step for our little homestead here on the farm, so I think it's quite important to document, so that's what I'm going to try to do. I'll take you along. I don't know how long it's all going to take. I'm hoping about 2 days for me to get the bones of it set up over here, but I've never done anything like this before. Obviously I've built the little electrical solar system for the well pump that we have at the horta at the bottom of the farm, but that's just a very simple 12-volt system. This is just on another level. Let's get the big boy drill out. Right, where was that hole? I think this is it. Okay, let's see how the clamp's going to attach to it. Fat bit of the rod, which I think is the best way of doing it, because I seem to have the best contact this way, or the little end of it, which would work as well, but I don't think it clamps. There's as much contact between the plate, the clamp and the rod, so I'm gonna go with the fat bit, which actually makes my life easier. Right, change of plans. I haven't got my PPE, so I can't get this cut through. I'll do that either in the evening or tomorrow or something. So I'm going to move on to basically just cutting the earth cable. Now, I don't really have much of an idea of what I'm doing. I'm all learning as I go along with this, and I'll probably make some mistakes, so don't use this video as a guide of how to do this, because there could be things badly wrong with the setup that I'm doing. So if you know what you're talking about electrics, if you're an electrician and you've got some tips, drop me a comment, and the rest of you seek proper advice. This is just how I'm trying to get it done. That worked? Yeah, that worked beautifully. Okay. Right now we're going to connect the extension leads to the solar cables outside, bring them inside, check the polarity of the cables just to make sure I've got it all correct, and then go for lunch. Let's go. Okay, so that's looking good. One thing that you may have noticed by now is that if you do want to do your own electrics, then you do end up with a million different types of crimping tools for all sorts of different stuff.
Okay guys, I'm just going to jump in here real quick just to let you know this is actually a shorter version of this very video. Basically, when I was editing it and I realized that the full video is an hour long, I realized, and Joe agreed, that not many people will actually want to sit through an hour long video about electrics and me basically stripping cables. So this is the shorter regular video that hopefully most people will be able to enjoy. However, if you are thinking about building a system like this yourself, then you probably will want to check out the longer version because it goes into a lot more detail and I explain things as I go along a lot more than I do in this one. That you will find in our members section, so go and have a look at that if you wish.
Right, next thing I want to do is wire up the battery to the inverter. Okay. Nice and easy. Onto that. Everything on show is now wired up, so first thing, let's switch on the battery and see what happens. So okay, so on now. Nothing happens. Okay, so I've just tried again and basically I just had to press the wake button for a little bit longer than I have before. So the main front LEDs come back. So now let's put the breaker on. Okay, so there should be current now going to the inverter. Switch the inverter on. Okay. Okay, it's just showing the battery. The solar panels are currently switched off. Big moment. I'm going to switch the PV isolator off. Well, on I suppose, to let the current through, and we'll see if it's going to start charging and if it's going to show up on the inverter. Let's do this big switch. Woohoo! And it just showed up on the inverter, so that is lovely. 179.1 volt. Like I said, no electrical experience really, other than just creating that little power bank, solar power bank for the solar pump. And this, yeah, I'm really chuffed with this. And I can see on the battery pack that it's charging as well. This is showing that it's charging. Yeah, really happy with this. Okay, so now that I know that the battery's charging and the battery's feeding the inverter, obviously because the inverter is on, it's time to get this wired up a little bit. So that's going to go there. RCD next to it. At least the neutral bar seems to be working better than the flipping nasty earth bar that I've got there. Yeah, one thing I would say is if you're gonna do electrics, you need a decent head torch, because I mean in here it's particularly dark, but there's a good chance that if you're doing domestic stuff, then the lights have to be off because you're working on the circuit that powers the lights. So just an observation. Now all that's left is for me to wire the outdoor socket that we have for now. Okay, so if you made it this far in the video, then you must be committed to a degree, and you may know what a thing or two about electrics. Hopefully there's going to be a person or two that does. And I have a question for you. With these chunky cables that have multiple strands in them, okay, so you've got the thick outer black tubing, and then inside you've got the individual cables, which obviously are insulated individually, separately. How on earth do you take this off, this black thick rubber coating, without nipping the insulation on the individual wires? My wire strippers that I have used, these only go up to, I think it's 6mm or something like that. But anyway, this just won't even fit inside. It doesn't go inside, so there's no way I can use these. So I have obviously done it, as you can see. I'm not going to share what method I use because it's not perfect and I don't want people repeating that. But if you know the correct answer, how to properly and safely strip this without nipping the insulation on the individual cables inside, then please leave us a comment, because I really want to know. Okay, everyone, we've got Joe here with us for the big switch on test. This isn't the final because there are still a couple of panels missing, but it's cosmetic. I still want to take the red battery cables back home to properly insulate them, but we can certainly check that the system's working now. So, my assistant, first, you need to switch the battery on. It's the black switch at the top.
That one?
Yeah.
Battery on.
Okay. Now, press and hold the wake button.
That one's on.
Now, you can see that the logo's lit up.
Yeah.
Okay, now, battery breaker, so that vertical thing, so flick it up. Okay, now at the bottom of the inverter, in the bottom right corner underneath, there's a switch on. Now we've got to wait a few seconds for that to fully switch on. Okay, while it's detecting the battery, it's coming up with a fault. I don't know why it's coming up with a fault. Okay, so we've done a bit of troubleshooting and we managed to clear the fault. Basically, it just needed a, well, I don't know if it actually needed a full system restart, but eventually I started the battery, started the inverter, enabled the solar panels to charge, and then once this inverter recognized that the battery is charging, it then cleared the fault by itself. So there's something for you. So quickly now, if you switch the red master breaker on, pull it up. Now the RCD, which is next to it. Yep. And now the breaker for the outdoor socket, which is right next to it. Yep. And now quickly plug in the fridge before the camera runs out of memory. And it came to life! There's light! Yes! So it's all working. It's all working. So you are joining me at the back now, because I realised I forgot to do one thing. Well, unless I didn't forget, I just didn't know that I had to do it, because I don't know electrics. But it's all a learning curve. So basically, when we mounted these panels, I didn't realise that you have to earth the actual solar panels. And then when I was building the little electrical system for the solar well pump, I realized that that little panel had an earth symbol on it. Yeah, basically one of the holes drilled into the frame of the panel had the earth symbol on it. So, and then it made sense why two holes on the panel frame were smaller than the other ones when we were mounting this. So I'm just fixing that now. So I'm basically earthing these panels. So I'm basically attaching the earth cables to one bolt per panel, and that way all of them will have an earth connection, and all of them will be attached to the clamp, which will clamp onto the earth rod in the middle. So you'll see that in a sec, and then I'll go back inside and put the cover on the inverter, and that'll be it. Oh, got it. I'm really glad that I've managed to do it. Yeah, I'm just really happy. So now we're probably going to have a cold drink from the fridge, and then we're going to go home for dinner, and we'll see you guys next week on Monday. See ya. Bye bye.
Plums?
You've got plums. Are they ripe?
Some of them might be.